All right, welcome back to some more shot commentary of shots that I made in the past. And yeah, let's dive right in. So this one is a from a short film called Luna, and this is like kind of the opening shot really of this particular scene. And I wanted to show this one off, not necessarily like it's pretty simple overall in terms of like what's going on. We're showing a cop car coming in. We have our heroes here trying to break into this car, and it's at night. And yeah, just kind of like how we did this and like what was going on. So the framing's cool. I like all these lines. I like all of the lines that are creating kind of different geometric shapes and stuff like that. That's really interesting. And I like the little twinklies back here that we're getting from the city, which we were lucky to be able to get the camera up high. So we basically just threw the camera up on the roof. As you can see, we're on the roof here, tilting down. We wet the floor with a bunch of water and shit, so you would get these reflections in the ground. Um, and then yeah, in terms of how we lit it, there's a couple things going on here. Obviously, um, we have the cop car lit with this little alleyway, and if I remember correctly, I think I think this is mostly lit from the natural lights that were on the building here. If I remember correctly, I think that's the case. There might have been something maybe hidden behind here, um, but I honestly don't think we did that. I think we were balancing for the practical lights that were already on this building, and there might have been something in the back that was shooting down, potentially. But it's been a couple years, so I don't really remember exactly, unfortunately. But I do remember having the conversation of balancing to the kind of basically exposing for those lights, right, that were already there because it's low budget. We don't have a lot of power. And then the other thing that we have going on here is you'll notice that this part right here is kind of light, right? So this is lit because right behind camera we have I believe it was an 8 by I think it was a 12 by diffusion, 12 by 12. This isn't a 12 by 12, whatever. Basically on a goalpost, you know, and we had behind that we had, I think it was one or two um, Aperture 600Ds, which is all we could afford at the time. Basically shooting through that, right? And that basically created our moonlight. And that was kind of like, I was very thankful that we were able to get enough level just to kind of get this lit, get some level here, get a little bit on the wall here. So that was really cool. The other thing that I want to point out though is this cool little splotchy shit right here. We basically took a Leco off to the side, way over here, that was on one of these other roofs, and we shot that Leco down and put a gobo on it of this little pattern. So we had like this little pattern, just some interest. So that's going on over there. And then the last thing that we had was we were kind of floating around I think it was a light mat, and then going through a 6 by, just like on a T-bone basically. So that was kind of just floating around this area as we filmed throughout the night. And that light is this right here, and then lighting our talent in the car, just so we can see them. Yeah, I know I can't really see it much in this shot, but there was an orange light that was being thrown on the wall from inside of the building. And that's basically it. But yeah, like we did this for such a low budget. It only took a couple units, and we just made it work. But I do like how it feels like nighttime. It kind of feels like how nighttime was lit back in the day almost. But I think really what sells this and makes it feel not fake to me, at least, is these lights right here. I think this is what really ties it all together. And if we didn't have that, and it was just like this, albeit it still works, I think the fact that we're seeing more of the world, I think that really ties this all together. So yeah, I like this shot, was proud of it. All right, we're jumping into Alienation. This is our alien here. I love this shot. I just, she had the idea. Just she was vibing, doing some hand shit, some whatever, just for some B-roll of the shot. But I love how we get the silhouette of the hand, coming in there for a moment, and then the fact that her eyes are dark because we're getting this top light, right? So it's really mysterious. We're really shrouding this character in mystery. We have a small highlight here, but it's not super intense. And what that kind of does for us is it separates us from the character, and that's kind of what we wanted for this. We didn't want you we don't want you to relate to this alien. That's kind of the point, right? So the top light, not only does it get you a lot of depth because you're getting like this bright down to dark, etc., and it's really emphasizing the unnatural human nature of this, which is not, it's an alien. So we're getting these bumps, we're getting the all of these textures really seen. And I really enjoy it. The way we lit it was basically just a goalpost with a light shooting down, and then she was, standing right there. And then the rest of it was just black. We shot it outside at night, so we didn't have to pay for really anything. And yeah, sometimes that's all it takes is just one light. So that was this one. Okay. This is from a music video called Bad Apple, and I really enjoyed this shot for a couple reasons. In terms of how we lit it, this is old. This is like 4 years old or something for me. But I think literally all we had for this was just one fixture off to the left-hand side on a softbox, probably, or it might have been double broken through a 6x or an 8x diffusion potentially. So, we could have, I think I could have done it that way, but we didn't actually light this red. The red came in post when I was in the grade, and I was just kind of like messing around, and I tried this kind of like matted, kind of almost like dual tone gray just for fun. I was like, what if I just made everything black and red, So you see this really unnatural fall off from red to black, and that's completely in post because the light originally was, I think it was this white light, right? So, but I thought it looked really sick. So I was like, shit, maybe we make this entire B-roll sequence of, her dancing and kind of vibing out to the song red. And I just love how, unnatural this feels, but yet it has this really filmic vibe to it. Like this hard cut from red to black, I just thought looked really cool. And in motion, this shot is really sick. And yeah, one of my favorite shots and sequences that I did. And sometimes it just comes from happy accidents. You just try something like, what if I just turn this knob all the way up, and it works. All right, moving on. This shot I'm not going to spend too much time on because we didn't really do any lighting for this one. This was just some B-roll stuff that we did outside for a music video for Nathan James and Filth, and he just wanted to highlight his little Hello Kitty thing here for whatever reason. So I just got down super low, focused on the Hello Kitty, and he gave us a little snarl. But I just like the shot. It's cool. I like the weird color. I like how he's kind of silhouetted against the sky. Somewhat. I like how his face is super out of focus, and you can't really see it, but you can get the impression of the danger. His eyes are dark. Like, it just looks like a monster, and for this video, that's kind of like what we were going for, is these two guys, Nathan James and the Filth guy, were just kind of just in this grungy house singing a song about bodies and hitting the floor and killing people and shit. So it's like, yeah, that's kind of what you want. You want that rough around the edges kind of look. I just love the wind in the hair. It's a cool shot. Sometimes, even though you're not really doing anything too technical, just finding a good frame is enjoyable. So that's what this one is. All right, last one for today. This is a still from the music video Evergreen Misery from Mothica. This one, I really enjoy this shot because of a few reasons, but I really like frame within the frames. I've noticed. I mean, every technique, whenever you see it giving yourself the opportunity to do, I enjoy giving, making sure that we do it, because that's the framework, right? Like, we're really just kind of finding, okay, we're shooting this shot, it's in this position. How do we make this now frame look correctly, right? How do we make this look interesting, look fun to look at? It's not boring. And one of the rules that I found here was like, okay, well, we got leading lines, right? And then we got kind of like this frame within a frame thing going on here. As you see, we get this kind of line here, we get this line here. And so we're kind of framing her within the frame itself, right? So I enjoy that. These kind of help with the leading lines as well. So we're drawing ourselves to our subject, no questions, right? Um, how we lit this, it's pretty simple. We put Titan tubes in these fixtures here. So it kind of looked like we could set our levels there. There's a backlight hitting right here. If you notice, that is being lit, I believe, from a hidden unit either behind this wall or it's behind this cubicle. I don't remember exactly. It might have been this past cubicle. And then that's basically just lighting behind her. So we're getting a little shaft of light like that. And then the rest of this is we have I think it was don't remember the exact unit, and it doesn't really matter, but we have some sort of soft source. It might have been a Duplo, it might have been a 4x4 through some diffusion, etc. And that's basically just hitting her at a 3/4 angle and relatively low level. So it still has the impression of being dark, but we're able to kind of get smooth skin tones and make everything look nice. And I really like this shot because it starts off from the right hand side and we do this big dolly, and then we wrap around the corner, and then we push into a close-up, and it ends up turning into a shot like this. And yeah, it's a cool shot. I enjoy doing big camera moves like that. And that's all I got for you today. So yeah,